When you take just one bite of rice, especially white rice, your body begins a rapid and complex chain reaction that directly affects your blood sugar, insulin response, and overall metabolic health, particularly if you have diabetes or insulin resistance. Rice is primarily composed of carbohydrates, and once that first bite enters your mouth, enzymes in your saliva begin breaking down the starches into simpler sugars. Before we continue, I'd like to tell you about Diacelan, a powerful blend of 13 natural ingredients, each carefully selected for their proven ability to support healthy blood sugar levels, enhance insulin sensitivity, and promote overall wellness. You can read more on diacelan.com. By the time the rice reaches your stomach and small intestine, these carbohydrates are quickly converted into glucose, which then enters your bloodstream. This causes your blood sugar to rise, and the rise can be surprisingly fast and steep because white rice has a high glycemic index, meaning it breaks down very quickly. For someone with diabetes, this quick spike can be difficult to manage because the body either doesn't produce enough insulin or doesn't use it effectively. That means the glucose stays in the bloodstream longer, leading to higher readings and potentially contributing to long-term complications if spikes happen frequently. After that first bite, your pancreas receives a signal to release insulin, the hormone responsible for moving glucose from your blood into your cells to be used for energy. In people without diabetes, insulin brings the blood sugar spike back down fairly smoothly. But for someone who is insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or diabetic, the response is not as efficient. The body may release too little insulin, too much insulin, or the cells may no longer respond well to insulin. In the case of insulin resistance, the pancreas often tries to compensate by pushing out even more insulin. Over time, this can exhaust the pancreas and make blood sugar control even harder. What's interesting is that even a small amount of a high glycemic food, like white rice, can trigger this cycle. It's not about the size of the bite, it's about how quickly that food turns into glucose. Another important piece of what happens after one bite of rice is the hormonal ripple effect beyond just insulin. When blood sugar rises quickly, your body perceives this as a need for fast energy. As glucose rushes into the bloodstream, your body shifts into a state where it prioritizes using sugar over burning fat. That means frequent rice consumption, especially in large amounts or eaten alone without protein, fiber, or fat, can gradually lead to fat storage, especially around the abdomen. For people with diabetes, this can worsen insulin resistance and contribute to weight gain, creating a cycle that makes blood sugar control more difficult. Even that first bite starts signaling these pathways, especially if rice is eaten often or in large portions. However, the story isn't all negative. Rice itself is not bad. The way your body responds depends heavily on the type of rice, what it's eaten with, your activity level, your metabolic health, and the overall pattern of your diet. For example, brown rice, black rice, and wild rice contain more fiber, which slows the absorption of carbohydrates. This creates a more gradual rise in blood sugar, making them easier for people with diabetes to tolerate. Even with white rice, pairing it with lean protein, healthy fats, or high-fiber vegetables can reduce the speed of glucose absorption. So yes, one bite of white rice can cause a noticeable spike, but one bite of whole grain rice or rice eaten as part of a balanced meal might not have the same impact. After that initial spike, your body will eventually respond by lowering your blood sugar through insulin, or, in some cases, by storing excess glucose in the liver or muscles as glycogen. If the glycogen stores are full, which often happens in people who are sedentary, the extra glucose may be converted into fat. For diabetics, the blood sugar may remain elevated for a longer time, and the body works much harder to bring it down. This can lead to symptoms like fatigue, thirst, or brain fog shortly after a high-carb meal. Repeating this cycle daily can contribute to chronic inflammation, arterial damage, vision issues, and more. That's why understanding what happens after even a single bite is crucial. It helps people make informed choices about how they structure their meals. Glycemic load is another concept that matters here. While glycemic index measures how quickly a food raises blood sugar, glycemic load measures the actual impact based on the portion size. Even though one bite may not seem like a lot, rice is dense in carbohydrates, so the glycemic load can still be significant over the course of a full portion. For individuals with diabetes, it isn't just about the number of bites. It's about how often and how consistently high glycemic foods are eaten. Eating rice daily or eating it without balancing nutrients can create a pattern of spikes that exhaust the body's ability to regulate glucose. That's why many health professionals recommend portion control or carbohydrate pairing instead of completely eliminating rice. Interestingly, the way rice is cooked can also change how the body responds. Cooling rice and reheating it increases its resistant starch content. This type of starch behaves more like fiber and is not fully broken down in the small intestine. That means less glucose enters the bloodstream and the overall spike is smaller. Some studies suggest that cooled and reheated rice can have a glycemic impact closer to brown rice than freshly cooked white rice. So even though one bite starts the process, the preparation method influences how intense the process becomes. Cultural and lifestyle factors also play a significant role in how the body responds to rice, because the context in which rice is eaten matters just as much as the rice itself. In many parts of the world, especially across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, rice has been a staple food for generations, forming the foundation of daily meals and cultural traditions. In these regions, people often pair rice with vegetables, legumes, fermented foods, and lean proteins, creating a balanced nutritional profile that slows digestion and reduces the impact on blood sugar. Additionally, many traditional lifestyles involve more physical activity, whether through walking, farming, or manual labor, which helps the body burn glucose more efficiently. As a result, individuals in these cultures often tolerate rice better because their overall lifestyle supports healthy glucose metabolism. However, problems arise when rice is eaten in very large portions, consumed multiple times a day, or paired with meals high in sugars, unhealthy fats, or overly processed ingredients. This pattern is becoming more common in modernized and urbanized settings, where physical activity is low and meals are often rushed or heavily refined. In these situations, rice can contribute to rapid and repeated blood sugar spikes, especially for people who already struggle with insulin resistance. This does not mean that rice is inherently harmful. Rather, the imbalance between high carbohydrate intake and a sedentary lifestyle places additional strain on the body's ability to regulate blood sugar. By learning to pair rice with fiber-rich vegetables, proteins, and healthy fats, and by being mindful of overall carbohydrate intake, diabetics can still enjoy rice without experiencing extreme spikes. So, what happens after that one bite of rice? Your body immediately begins breaking it down into glucose, your blood sugar rises, your pancreas releases insulin, and your cells absorb the sugar if they're responsive. If they're not, the glucose remains in your blood longer, leading to spikes that can slowly contribute to long-term complications. But with portion control, mindful pairing, healthier rice varieties, and proper cooking techniques, the effects of rice can be managed effectively, even for people with diabetes. The power lies not in the bite itself, but in how you structure your meal and how you support your body in processing it.